Oakley Day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by 10th Man, Chocolate Saying, I know, not quite, not yet, Paul Hall, Sleeping Warrior, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Arwin.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Friday, or happy Sunday if you're watching this on a different upload. Any signs of a geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from Grants Pass, Oregon.
Yeah, it's there. You just can't see it.
I'm going to need to see it, I'm afraid. any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Nah, none of that going on.
It's there. You just can't feel it.
Keep it going.
Just
Ari.
can't measure it.
Keep coming.
Just can't prove it. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
No scientific evidence. They do have a name for something, an effect, but many names could be given to that effect.
Weight is gravity.
I keep thinking of this net force zero thing because obviously
That's a good movie.
Yeah, there you go. I was thinking they're going to probably start arguing that the reference frame issue. But if my can of Coke sitting on the counter, I got one reference frame. It's got its own reference frame, and the counter's got its own reference frame. Now, what reference frame is that can of Coke sitting on my counter accelerating? I'm going to anticipate maybe this is what the ballers are going to say. Can somebody help me out? Which reference frame? Whether the counter's accelerating, the can of Coke accelerating, or am I accelerating? Which one is it?
Well, it will be asserted as a begging the question fallacy, though, won't it?
Well, in pseudo-Riemannian force space, it's all accelerating.
Here we
According
go.
to Ed Freeze.
Hold on, perfect. Hold on,
Tenth
10th Man. So perfect. Arwin's just taken up the reins perfectly. So he's inserted his begging the question fallacy. He's declared it openly. He's watched Rumpus enough to know how to get away with this. Insert it immediately. Just declare your begging the question fallacy. That's what Arwin's just done. So he's declared the parameters of his begging the question fallacy in pseudo-Riemannian force space, and then he's going to make up his just so story in line with this claim from Einstein. And there you go, you've begged the question, and now we're assuming that force. Then we're going to cancel it out with something else and end up at net force zero with the begging the question fallacy in place. That's what's going to happen, Paul.
But that still doesn't answer the reference frame issue. So, because you have to say something's accelerating depending upon your reference frame. So, which reference frame is my counter, or me accelerating if we're all standing still?
I can't do this for you. Someone else is going to have to do it, Arwin. Maybe you. Because, like I say, at this point, I just go, you're begging the question. You're asking me to assume a rotating or accelerating reference frame that is not experienced in any way, shape or form, and then going to be cancelled out to leave us at net force zero. This is just begging the question. So for me to say, well, how is a globe head going to get past that? They won't. But if they then had someone else that wasn't me debating against them and they allowed them to beg the question, how is the fundie going to assume a reference frame that's got an inertia to it or an acceleration going on? They can't. They probably will once they get you to beg the question, though.
Right. In the fourth dimension, there is this acceleration happening, and that is what is translated into the center point of Earth falling effect. The
Beautiful.
displacement.
That's why Arwin is ace. See? He's got straight on with it. He hasn't reasserted the begging the question fallacy. He's just got straight on with describing it within the begging the question fallacy he's already declared. Arwin is ace.
So wait a minute. So time is your fourth dimension? So that's your reference frame?
Yeah. Paul's on it already.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Hold on.
space-time.
No. Yes. That's what you just said, Arwin. Don't double back and be that fundy. Yeah. You've just said within the parameters of space-time, fourth dimensional. That's what you said. Yes. That's correct, Paul. Moving on.
No, but Paul said just time. But you
that's
can't
the fourth
separate.
dimension.
It's space-time.
Yeah.
It's the
that's
singular
the
thing.
Yes. Length, breadth, depth, and time. That's the fourth dimension. Paul's right. Don't be that guy, Arwin. You are doing so well being a fundy. Globehead.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, time, Paul. That's right. He's dealing in a conceptual medium that he declared openly at the beginning of his interaction here. That's right, time. Yeah, we're going to point out that he's begging the question now, or we're going to try and pull apart this conceptual medium, or what?
Well, isn't reference frames though a point coordinate system to measure something happening? So where's time in this point coordinate system?
Let's see. Well, the time is apparent because of the displacement happening. If there was no time, there would be no displacement.
Displacement of what?
Displacement of materials, which we experience as gravity.
Hold on, we've got a problem now. He's talking about a coffee cup on a counter. What acceleration, Armin? What are you babbling about?
Well, the acceleration towards the Earth's center that it has because of the mass being pulled in by the space-time bending.
Yeah, blah 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 blah. Perfect, thank you, Arwin. There you go, Paul. It's accelerating towards the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. What more do you want?
Can you tell me what the acceleration is of my coffee cup sitting on the counter that is resting on the counter? Because for acceleration to occur, there has to be movement for acceleration. So, but it's resting on the counter. So how is that accelerating towards the center of the Earth? I still don't get it.
Well, it's not literally accelerating. Okay, it's accelerating in the pseudo-Riemannian force space, and that expresses itself as gravity, which is what we experience.
No, that's not how they argue it. They argue net force zero.
Well, so wait a minute.
No, I'm not going there. This is my route.
Oh, okay.
So what you're saying is it's not truly accelerating, but you can think of it as accelerating. Okay, thanks.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Hold on, that's the end then. So Arwin's just saying we don't have to operate at the really is level. Fine, that's the end then, isn't it? What are you going to do to this?
Well, we were talking about pseudo-Riemannian force space, right?
Yeah. You don't have to. Yeah, you've already declared that really beautifully at the beginning, Arwin. That's right. We're operating at the not really is level, Paul. So what are you going to do here?
So what I'm gathering, there is no force holding my coffee cup on the counter.
No. There is. No, that's wrong. Arwin, stop. You just had it explained to you by Arwin. Yeah, it's just not operating at the really is level. We are begging the question, remember?
So I'm imagining my coffee cup accelerating, and I'm also imagining that the counter is accelerating up towards the coffee cup. It's all imaginary. Okay, thanks.
Well, I'm getting kind of sick of this globe presupposition, because you could consider, even within the relative density theory, that it's almost as if it were accelerating, which it normally would be if it had the maneuverability room left. But since it's being obstructed by something physical blocking its movement towards its equilibrium point, right? It is then translating that into pressure, and that pressure is constant. So it is still almost like a virtual acceleration happening.
Hold on,
But
just for
it's
the audience.
virtual.
Hold on, you're correct. Just for the audience's benefit, Alwyn is now talking on the really is level, though, just so the audience is clear that he's no longer globe head hat on. Are we all square here? Can we move on to any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
I was rather enjoying this back and forth.
It's come
But,
to a
yeah, we can
conclusion.
move on.
It came to a conclusion. Arwin declared it openly. That's where you're best to do it if you're a fundy and you're watching. Right at the beginning. He declared his pseudo, i.e. not on the really is level, Ramonian four-space conceptual medium being bent, and he didn't go to net force 0, he just stuck with not really on the really is level, it is actually being pulled if you imagine it to be pulled to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. Well, at that point, Paul, having allowed his opponent to beg the question, what's he going to do? Say, no, that isn't how it works. Yeah, it is, in pseudo-Ramonian four-space, as we're begging the question here. How are you going to overcome that? Well, you're not, because we're not working on the really is level, so the conclusion's been drawn. The conclusion is also the demolition of the argument from Arwin's side, because we're not operating at the really is level. Oh, well, we are! That's why we don't allow him to beg the question.
That's what I meant. Good summary. The finish needs a good summary like that because all of it was begging the question.
Yeah, if we assume that Earth is a spinning ball in a space vacuum. So no viable hypotheses?
Oh, right, the next housekeeping question, right?
Yeah, I was hoping I'd get an answer while I hustle a few more new guests off mute.
Oh, all right. Any single viable hypotheses from any of the fields of cosmology, astronomy, or astrophysics?
They never really get to that point, do they? They just see something, they think up something, they got a good story, they stick it together like an arts project, and that seems to be enough. Nobody is actually holding them accountable to any scientific standard, saying like, yeah, that's a really interesting thing, but maybe we want some actual physical evidence for that.
Sorry, what are you saying? They see some kind of decoded picture and it looks like a donut hole and they call it something. That's all they got?
Yeah. And that seems to be enough for them to keep it all together.
Amazing.
Nobody's
The
getting
pseudoscientists think they can get away with our recent encounter with, God, I've forgotten his name, so unimportant. The dude that, Anthony, you hosted the show about him, Danny Faulkner.
Dr. Danny Faulkner.
That's the one. They're a joke. All three fields, just a complete joke. It's all pseudoscience, just so stories. It's all they've got. Talking of just so stories, any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
It's on screen right now.
Yeah, good timing, eh?
Yeah.
Tumbleweed sound effect on its way.
Does share screen not work anymore?
Yeah, share screen still works. 3 dots, top right hand corner, hover over the Hangout page. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
It's over there.
Just correlative maths, Nathan, but no distances. We don't know its size. We don't know its distance. We don't know its distance. We don't know its size. But we can calculate it.
How do they calculate? This is Kepler's third law. It sounds very complicated. Surely that's correct, though.
Yeah, if you make a couple of assumptions along the way.
What kind of
We
assumptions?
assume that if we assume that Venus is the same size as Earth and assume that Earth is a sphere, then we can scale it all out using a bit of maths. And we can argue about how accurate the maths are. And the more we argue about how accurate it is, the more valid the maths becomes.
How come they're so trustworthy about the math for that and not the one for the geometric horizon?
Same maths. They're both based on R. So, as Anthony's just explained, Huygens takes the assumed R value of Earth, looks up at the morning star and goes, that's the same size as Earth and a rock in the sky vacuum. Therefore, we can apply Kepler's third law of interplanetary motion with these two assumptions. And then we can derive all of the values for all of the distances. Wow, aren't they far away and massive?
We do not see the astronomical horizon.
Just doesn't add up.
Yeah, that all falls apart based on their lack of an R value assumption they can now justify. They can't justify R, so none of these interplanetary calculations are valid anymore. They don't have an R value. It's not justified.
They just keep multiplying their problems. Come on, guys.
Nathan, can you see my share screen?
No, just got your man swinging his sword.
I think they have a divide and conquer strategy, Paul.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you the screenshot, Nathan. Somebody's given me evidence that supports the assertion that we live on a sphere, and they claim that it's evidence of curvature. But for some reason, I can't screen share. So if I send it back to you in the Master B chat, would you stick it on the screen and let's look at it?
Yeah, if you send it now, stick it up. Curvature of Earth.
This is cited as proof of Earth curvature by obviously the author, but also it was cited to me recently on a video. Basically, this is supposed to be game, set, and match for proof of Earth curve.
Okay, do you want to talk me through it?
Well, it's the Bonneville Salt Flats, which is regarded to be one of the flattest places on Earth. So obviously, over the distance it covers, that curvature's got to be made back up again somewhere, right? But given that it's supposed to be one of the flattest places on Earth, I find it's a bit unlikely or not exactly probable that you'll be able to calculate Earth or capture Earth curvature there, because if it's one of the flattest places, you're looking in the wrong place for curve. But if it's as easy as the picture shows, then how big's the Earth? I mean, it's kind of very small.
This is kind of Planet Orleans Parish-esque claim then, with this bending, whatever it is.
Yeah, I just find that it's totally... Well, I don't know what's going on here, but it looks very... I don't want to use the word fake, but you can think of it as fake.
Well, it must be on a ball because we can see a horizon.
Certainly they could do this with the platforms off Santa Barbara, right?
I mean, I've just got it. I'm looking at the live screen now because for some reason my screen share won't work. But I mean, if that's supposed to be evidence of curvature on one of the flattest parts of the world, the salt flats, I think it's the Utah salt flats or the Bolivian ones, whichever. Well, if it's that prominent and it's caught that easily, why can't they show this all the time, every time they go there? Because we've seen the Pontchartrain Causeway and the Pontchartrain pylons, the power lines, and they show that if you go on different days, they're flat as a pancake. So I'm curious as to how this has been achieved, because this never seems to validate or repeat. Somebody gets it, and then nobody ever gets it the same.
Riley, if this was real, it would be called salt curves.
It's a photograph. It's real, but by the same token, we'd need to know all of the conditions that the photograph was taken under, so we could potentially look into the optics of what's occurring. However, their assumption will be played out with the R value in place if they're going to calculate anything based on this image. So they're going to turn it 90 degrees and utilise the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator to assert that what we're seeing has nothing to do with perspective and everything to do with Earth curve after hijacking it.
Well, I might be wrong in saying this, and I'm not 100% sure, but I think Tim Osman has been to the same area and got Bonneville Salt Flats. And if he has, why don't we challenge him to go and repeat this and get the same view with the same curve? Like, just get it twice or once even. Just validate this observation, because he lives close to it. It's got to be within the realms of possibility that he could. And if he could, that would be persuasive evidence if somebody else other than a ball earther could do it. Let's see if they can do it.
What use is it? The extrapolation will still require an assumption of an R value that's been debunked by the Black Swan. So what use is it? It looks curvy. Let's see if we can get it to look curvy again. Is that what you're saying?
Well, the use of it would be that if it was to validate up, then it removes the possibility that this person's done some trick photography in some way. But if it doesn't validate up and it looks straight as an arrow, then it kind of shows that this person's done some trickery. I don't know what they've done or how they've done it, but it looks artistic. It doesn't look real world. Would you agree? It looks like it's of another world.
Not really. I think it just looks like a photograph that's been taken under a set of conditions that have caused this optical phenomena of things looking like they're curving. as they're going into the distance with perspective. Now, given that all of their calculations exclude this effect of perspective, which is real and demonstrable in this picture as things go towards the horizon, well, then what use is extrapolating out an Earth curve assumption from this picture? That can't be done anymore. We've debunked the R value that their maths will be based on. So it's meaningless, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's an interesting folly, I suppose. No offence.
It would be useful to see if it could be validated. Just see if we can get it validated so it was repeated, so that somebody could make the claim in this topic then other people could then go and do it, right?
What makes you think repetition's necessary exactly?
Say that again.
What makes you think that repetition is necessary in any way, shape, or form?
Well, it helps validate the claim, the assertion
Does
of
it?
the person that's taken the photograph.
Does it?
It helps,
It's a misconception. It doesn't. The idea
Well,
the idea that repeating something somehow validates it is the idea that's offered from the scientific method. So your experimentation stage must be done repeatedly by multiple different people, and without bias from other people, so that you've got the same result being validated over and over and over again empirically. Yeah. Systematic experimentation is what they describe that as. But the repeating of the validation of a hypothesis isn't the same as going out and observing something and then observing it again. Similar. That's not.
I'll tell you what's interesting. I'm looking on Google Earth right now at the way the road goes, and the road actually curves. Sorry, the road actually curves in a way that you could perceive that it might be perceived as curve. Yeah, I can't screen share for some reason, but
just screen
all
cap
I did
it
was
screen cap it and stick it in Master B. So you're saying it curves to the left or curves to the right? It's taking a, it's
yeah. I mean, I
straight.
don't know where it was taken from. I can't be certain because it just says from Wendover in NV, whatever NV stands for. So I've just copied and pasted Wendover NV and stuck it into Google Maps, and I've got generally the gist of roughly the angle that the person might be on. It's a bit speculative. I don't know exactly where they're looking, but the salt flats are in front of me, and I can see what looks like a runway in front on the picture. Looks like and there's roads that go near it, and it looks like it's the same roads that I'm looking at. So I'm going to speculate that I've got roughly the right area, but the road curves in such a way that it would make it look like it was Earth curvature over about 3 or 4 miles. It's great, actually. I'm going to screen cap this and send it to you.
Couldn't we have all of this information? I mean, Dr. John Dee's just released his boy, and he's called them character names from Lord of the Rings, like Frodo and stuff. But that has all the what's the words? Can't remember the name. There's a name for the type of data. But all the background information is provided, so you can just easily assess this. Have we not got any of this information for this image? Is it just a baseless assertion? Here you go, Earth curve.
Yeah, it just says, all I can detect from it, it just says, overlooking the Bonneville salt flats from Wendover NV, very noisy, no tripod. So I've sent you the picture, Nathan, if you put that on screen.
Yeah, I have.
So if you look at the picture that Nathan's now got on screen, it kind of indicates roughly the kind of area that I would expect this person to have taken this picture in. And you can see that the road on screen curves off, it bends round to the left, and that would give you the perception that there's curve. But it's only over a few miles. But the depth in field in the picture indicates that you're looking much, much, much further than a few miles, but you're not. You're only looking a few miles, and the road bends off to the left.
I see.
Deceptive.
Well, maybe.
Clever photography, but deceptive.
Yeah, we'd need the data from whoever it was and whatever they're claiming and how they're claiming it proves it before we start trying to debunk it.
On face value, though, it does look like Earth curve. But when you scratch below the surface, you realise that the surface is quite thin and fragile.
Yeah, but I don't want to debunk it based on their claim being, it looks like Earth curve. They might say, no, there's far more complex data behind this claim. Here's what it is, here's what I'm claiming, here's my data to back it up. And then you go, all right, now I understand your claim. I mean, obviously the inverse of what the globeheads do, we try and explain modus tollens and the black swan to them, and they ignore it and stick their head in the sand and go, la 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 la. They don't try and appreciate and understand it. That'll take at least 18 months. Whereas when we are presented with a claim, obviously we set much higher standards than they do. And we would like to know the historic data for the information first, so we can assess the claim that's actually being made and what proves the claim. rather than just saying, "Oh, right, their claim is it looks curvy." Go on. Sorry.
I'm scrolling through pictures right now on the internet of this area, the Bonneville Salt Flats. I don't see anything that resembles that picture.
Yeah, if you go to Wendover in NV, just type in Wendover. There's a town called Wendover, W, not B, and from there you can see roughly the angle that the person. I mean, I don't know exactly where they're located, but you can see the angle that they've got, and they're only looking a few miles there. They're not looking mega miles. Certainly not 30 miles. They're looking maybe 5. And you can see that the road bends off. It curves to the left, which is being perceived and touted to be Earth curve, and it's explainable just by the road, the shape of the road.
Well, if the Earth is a sphere with the radius of 3959, this should be spotted everywhere.
Yeah.
What
It's
radius?
perspective.
I'm starting to figure out too. Once
The
you
radius? My bad.
Chocopedia.
What's up, guys? Good morning.
Hey, Chocolate.
I've just started discovering when I talk to Globers and I start saying, do you have the ground temperature data? Like, what's the temperature of the ground or the temperature of the water and the atmospheric? When you start pressing them on that, because that's actually, those are the factors that can determine something's refracted or not. They say, well, you don't need that. As soon as they say they don't need that, they're done, because that's their argument that things are refracted. So when you say things are refracted, because sinking and that stuff is part of refraction, if they don't give you the data, if they obfuscate the data, it's over. I had this happen on a disc the other day.
Yeah, but what they do though is they say they can dispense with that because they've got standard refraction, which is obviously based on R, rather than based on the 4 key things like you just said: pressure, temperature, density, humidity, or whatever the factors are. I can't remember them off the top of my head. But the point is, you're right. They've got this claim that you don't need all the empirical data when it suits them because they've got standard refraction. But when we question it, they say, well, if you're going to apply real world refraction, you need to know all these along every point of the corridor. And it's like, oh, right, so it's different rules when we try and do it, but when they try doing it, this, oh, yeah, standard refraction's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just point out the magic trick. Okay, if you're going to assert refraction, what refraction are you asserting? 07/6R? We've debunked R. You can't use standard terrestrial refraction, as it's actually accurately called. Terrestrial refraction uses R. Bye-bye, we don't have an R value anymore, Black Swan. Maybe if you learnt the argument and understood how it had been debunked and why it's now untenable, you wouldn't be asserting standard refraction in the form of terrestrial 7/6R, because you don't have an R. Bye-bye, Globe. You'll all learn eventually. It may take some time, but we'll be here for you to understand just how dead your model is.
Can I say something?
Of course, go ahead.
I see some kind of middle ground in both of what you guys are saying. Even this morning, when they're still talking about the black swan, they present the clear day picture and then the fuzzy day picture, and they're still on about this. Look, you can see all the distortion, right? So they want to say that there's some distortion from one side, but then back to where this point opened up, they obfuscate and they don't want to have the numbers. My man said, as soon as they say you don't need it, they're done. It's like, but I do see some sort of middle ground.
Not really.
Can I ask you a question?
Let me
saying
summarize that point before you do,
saying
Chocolate.
that
Just 1
distortion.
second, Chocolate, just 1 second.
Oh,
Before you do.
My bad.
So, yeah, your geometric horizon we discussed yesterday, I think it was Arwin we were discussing it with. This is a fixed value, set in stone, inviolable, not to be changed. Because as soon as it is, it's no longer either the value that it must be or geometric. So it is very much set in stone. If they say, oh, we can argue about one image being fuzzy and therefore there's lots of refraction going on. So not a geometric horizon then, we've only got one. This is the death of their model. It's so cut and dry.
I totally agree with that argument. I was just trying to say I'm just trying to bear witness to the fact that they're still playing in the middle ground. I'm not trying to argue it personally. But yeah, and then it's like if they want to do that, they need to I'm with you. They need to rigidly prove refraction, all this, for all the phenomenons to hold up their claims.
Sure.
Here's another aspect of it too. If they say it starts talking about distortion, that's refraction. Well, the next question would be, can you have refraction that is not distorted? And as soon as you show that that's possible, they're done as well. So you can have refraction without distortion. I mean, that's obvious. Nope.
You're back onto this having refraction. No. Their refraction is terrestrial refraction, and they can't have it. Sorry. This arguing about real refraction and whether or not we're going to qualify it, who cares? They don't have that. It's not what they use. It's irrelevant. Their refraction's debunked.
My problem with this whole refraction thing, and then when they want to talk about the cranes, now obviously I'm not an expert in this type of shit, right? I'm just a layperson, just a regular Joe, right? But when I look at this image and I'm seeing this horizon further, almost 10 times further than it's supposed to be, and then we're told this refraction is the cause of that, I'm like, okay. But then I look at the cranes, right? And these guys, they always point at the crane. Look at the cranes. They're all distorted. Okay, so you're saying that distortion is this refraction. So the cranes are being distorted because of refraction, but at the same time, this very refraction is giving us clear visibility so that we can see a horizon 10 times further than it's supposed to be. So which is it? Is it distorting or is it giving us clear visibility? I don't get that. It's
That's where I'm going.
ridiculous.
That's kind of where I'm going, Chocolate, in that same vein.
I've been there, bro. Ever since I heard Bendy crane refraction, I'm just like, what? So you're asserting that because of the distortion, we see refraction. Okay, great. But now you're also saying that because of the same thing causing the distortion is causing the horizon to be at further than 9 miles when it's supposed to be at 1.2. Nah. That sounds like double speak and pseudoscience and just nonsense. To me, anyway.
Yeah, but their whole, prior to the Black Swan, their whole stance was that objects are refracted from the horizon, not the horizon.
Yes, the horizon's an
So
object.
things that are below the horizon are being pushed up. They never, ever talked about the horizon being refracted. So now, because of the Black Swan, they have to take it a step further and say that the horizon.
Can you not have 10th man talking, Rumpus?
So now you got two horizons.
The horizon is refracted. It is an object.
Oh,
Hey.
look who's here.
The horizon is refracted.
But it's not
What kind of
geometric.
refraction is it, Rumpus?
Sorry?
Did he just say
What type
the horizon is an object?
You
What
can
type
see
of
water,
refraction is the horizon?
Hold on. Well, let me answer. The water that makes up the horizon is a physical object, and so it's refracted just like everything else.
What type of
Why is that-
refraction are you referring to?
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, I interrupted you, Anthony. Karen.
What type of
I missed what you
refraction
said.
are you claiming that the water is doing?
The water on the horizon is refracted like everything else is refracted.
Not his
It depends
question.
on the refractive
You
conditions.
dumb.
I heard towering this morning. I heard them say
Hold
towering.
on, Don. Do you want to ask him again, Anthony? He didn't answer you.
You said the horizon is refracting. I asked what kind of refraction is it refracting with?
Well, usually it's just standard refraction, but it depends on the conditions.
Oh, standard refraction's been debunked. That's based on an R value you don't have, because that would give you a geometric horizon based on that R value. So if the horizon's refracted, you don't have an R-based geometric horizon, and you're going to require one for terrestrial, otherwise known as standard refraction. So no, not standard refraction. You don't have an R value if you don't have a geometric horizon.
Yeah, we do have an R value.
You don't have a geometric horizon, and that's what an R value gives you.
We don't need to get a geometric horizon.
That's what R gives you, you complete muppet. R gives you a geometric horizon. Are you dense?
We don't need to have a geometric horizon.
That's what R gives you. You're just going to repeat it? What? Keep repeating it 5 more times? You don't need one. That's what R is based on. It gives you a geometric horizon. You just don't have one.
That is not based just on making an observation of the geometric horizon.
No, based on R. I didn't say based on observation. Based on R. The radius value. That's what terrestrial refraction's got. 7/6 R. R has been debunked. R gives you a geometric horizon, and according to you, you're describing a non-geometric horizon. So you don't have one. That's based on R, not your vision. Why are you juxtaposing vision with me saying R value? Are you dumb?
We know ours correct. So what's the...
It's not correct. You haven't got one. R gives you a geometric horizon, you moron.
Science denier. I can't help.
Science denier? Why are you ad homing me? I've just pointed out that R gives you a geometric horizon. You're saying science denier. Why this ham-handed ad hominem segue?
No, R does give you geometric horizon. That's...
You don't have one! What do you mean R does give you a geometric horizon? Show it us!
When the horizon...
When the horizon? Show it us, you moron.
Okay, then every horizon that you look at is a function of the geometric...
Not a function of. That's not the geometric horizon then. So you're going to beg the question of a geometric horizon. You can't show me. Function? No.
There are two factors. You never...
No, there's only one horizon, not two factors for a horizon. One being a geometric one you can't see. We've only got one.
Yeah, we've only got one...
And it's not geometric. We've only got one horizon, it's not geometric.
That's correct, it's not...
Yeah, so we haven't got an R-value based geometric horizon. So your R's debunked for your terrestrial refraction.
The apparent horizon...
No. R-based geometric for this terrestrial refraction, moron.
But you have to allow for refraction.
We have to allow for a geometric R-based horizon for this refraction, moron.
There are geometric horizons...
You haven't got one. And R's based on it.
Those two things together...
No, one thing, one horizon. Yours is geometric.
No, we agree...
Yeah. Yeah, you're definitely going to be needing a geometric R-based horizon for your mathematics. Terrestrial refraction's got an R in it.
Of course. Because of refraction.
No, because of R. 7 over 6R. Not because of refraction. Very much because of 7 over 6 of the R value giving you a geometric horizon you don't have. It's been debunked. You're not going to be able to use this refraction, you moron.
Refraction is what causes the 7 over 6R bit.
Sorry, refraction's not causing the mathematics of an R value.
It is.
No, it isn't. R gives you a geometric physical sphere edge for a horizon, marked with an X labelled horizon in your geometric maths. It's based on geometry. It's crucial for your maths.
And when you add in refraction...
No. When we add in terrestrial refraction, that needs R. Not when we add in refraction. You need R first.
Did you say refraction is causing an
Chocolate.
equation?
Thank
geometry.
you.
The way
Geometry needs R, doesn't it?
you can work it out as a function of the...
Not of a function of something you haven't got. You can't take a function of an R-based geometric horizon if you haven't got one.
You can't deny the radius. You can't deny it.
Sorry, I'm debunking it. You haven't got one. How are you going to derive something from it as a function if you haven't bloody got one? I'm not denying it, I'm debunking it.
How?
Sorry, you eating your mic?
Have you debunked radius? You haven't done anything like that?
Sorry, you haven't got a geometric horizon. That's what R gives you, a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon marked with an X labelled horizon in your geometric maths. It's fundamental to geometry. It's the R value.
We do not need to have a geometric horizon.
Yeah, you do. It's marked with an X labelled horizon. It's fundamental to geometry. It's the basis of the geometry. It's the basis of your terrestrial refraction, which includes R. You absolutely require it to do geometry.
And you
they
use
never
the
needed
geometric...
geometric
Wait,
horizon.
hold on, Rumpus. You can't decide whether you don't need a geometric horizon, whether you do have one, whether you don't have one. Do you even know where you are right now, bro?
Yeah, finish a sentence. It'll be very, very clear.
Suck my balls. That's what you can do. Yeah, you double-speaking fundy J-Trig.
You see, won't let me answer, you see? This is why you
No, you're not going to get to do anything. We've demolished you round and round in circles 6 times. Now Chocolate's laughing at you. And you're asking if you can get to finish a sentence. No, you need an R value for 7 over 6R.
See that, people? You won't let me answer.
You need an R value for 7 over 6R. It's not a secondary function if it's already in your refraction.
You won't let me answer.
Sorry, is that all you've got? You won't let me answer? No, I'm pummeling you.
But you've answered already.
Yeah,
Rumpus.
you've
You
answered,
just said
you fundy
you don't
dick.
need a geometric horizon. But a few minutes earlier, you said you do have a geometric horizon. And then a few minutes earlier than that, you said you don't have a geometric horizon. So what the hell are you talking about? Do you, do you know where you are?
Answer? Would you like to want me to answer? Right, here we go.
No, I want you to suck my balls. When are you going to do that?
Interrupted immediately. Right.
Yeah, telling you to suck my balls. Now I've teabagged you. That's what I'm doing. I'm telling you, you've been pummeled, you stupid moron. That's what's happened here. You've been absolutely obliterated with your doublespeak about needing but not having the geometric horizon that R is based on and your terrestrial refraction utilises in the form of 7/6R. We've pummeled you, mate.
It should be obvious to everybody he's frightened of me answering his question.
I haven't asked you a question. I've made a statement of fact. You need R for terrestrial, which you called standard refraction. You need R. So saying, well, we'll take a secondary function from a horizon we haven't got to give us R to move the horizon with R, you're gonna need R. I've pummeled you. I'm not asking anything.
The apparent horizon.
No. You need a geometric horizon for your maths, moron. Yeah? What, am I not letting you finish? Yeah, by pointing out that you're talking about a horizon that's not geometric now. You have only got one. Yours is geometric.
No, it's not.
Yeah. It's marked with an X, labelled horizon, and based on R! So, no, you double-speaking fundy while I teabag you over and over again. Enjoy the salty aftertaste, Muppet. You need R. You haven't got it. You haven't got a geometric horizon. It's game over globe. You don't have to like it. Maybe you'd like to bitch that you're not getting to finish your sentences while I pummel your religion.
That diagram doesn't include
Oh, you're just going to talk through me, not listening anymore. Bye-bye.
That diagram.
Bye-bye. Eat your mic, bitch. Bye-bye. If you're not going to listen to any more pummeling your religion, thinking that you're going to shut down communications by talking through my pummeling of your requirement for R, no. You don't have to listen. I'll just shut you up. If you're not going to listen to me anymore, pummeling your religion, then you can go away. That's what you have to do. You have to listen to me pummeling you. And then claim that you're not getting a chance to speak. Yeah, we heard you. Saying you don't have but require a geometric horizon based on R to give you 7/6R refraction to move the horizon. Yeah, it's a bit of a circle jerk. It's a bit of a death of your religion. And I'm going to highlight that without you claiming that you're not going to get to finish your sentence while you double speak us and get plenty of time to tell us how you need R but don't have it. Okay, matey? Bye-bye.
That's what's funny, in my opinion, is that
you keep slipping off push to talk.
Brilliant, Tony.
Hey, Chocolate.
Yo, what's up, brother?
Would you be coming to Rumpus's funeral? He's died again.
Oh, again? Poor guy.
I'm getting tired of all these funerals. I keep going to Rumpus's funeral, but he keeps reincarnating as the devil.
So he said the
I'm not
horizon
dropping
is
any
an
more
object.
flowers on his coffin anymore. I'm
No.
done with that.
No, come on. We have to make poetry about it. Like every ridiculous statement he's ever made, it should all be remembered and just put in this.
We're going to need a hell of a tombstone.
That would be a
He
Howard
said-
show.
He
Yeah,
said,
on
he said, quote unquote, we don't need a geometric horizon.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So just to paraphrase, there is an important point that Nathan's demolished in his style with Rumpus. But the important point to notice is that when Rumpus calculates anything, because it's always based on R, and they don't have R because they don't have a geometric horizon, it means that their maths is invalid. That's the important point to notice.
Yes.
Beautifully put.
He keeps asserting it, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he also called me a science denier because I wouldn't beg the question with him. Hey, no science being talked about here, no independent, dependent variables, no observed phenomena, nothing. Zero science, but he called me a science denier because that's their trick, isn't it? When you deny the religion of an R value that's been debunked, you're a science denier. So you better be scared of being a flat earther because your kin around you will call you a science denier if you don't believe in the globe religion.
Well, that's what I was telling you the other day. They say that the scientific method is not the only science. Him, Rumpus, and Zanuck the other day in the after show.
No, their science is their religion of a globe, and they're going to tell you that it's science because it then sounds empirical when it's just a religious faith they're asserting as science. It's pseudoscience. There's no science being discussed here. Not today, not by anybody.
And then they followed up with
What does it mean
statements.
anyway, science denier? You mean we don't abide by your philosophy? You think science is a philosophy and you can do with it whatever you like. Now,
The literal translation would be pseudoscience denier. They are asserting pseudoscience. We deny it. We are actual pseudoscience deniers, as you would expect to be if you're a normal, upstanding, decent human being who accepts empirical evidence over stories. But we're denying those stories, and those stories are their pseudoscience, but they call them science, and if we deny them, we're quote-unquote science deniers. Reality being pseudoscience deniers.
Nathan, when I was a kid, I used to remember going to the beach with my parents, and when back in the day you were allowed to drive your car on the beach because they had parking on the beach. I know it sounds a bit weird, but like they don't do it anymore, but you could get your car on the beach. And my dad, because it's not a public road, he used to let me drive on the beach. I was sat straddling it. He would control the pedals because I wasn't big enough, and I would steer the wheel and just drive around the beach for 10 minutes, and I absolutely loved it. I was only about 10, but nonetheless, that was allowed back when we were kids. But I remember one day I said to him, we were looking at something on the horizon. Obviously, it was a water horizon at the beach. And I said to him, I said, Dad, how far away is that? And he said, well, you can only see 3 miles up to the horizon, son. And it stuck in my head all this time as an adult. And it regurgitates on me like after, I don't know, whatever. It goes through my mind. And I remember thinking at the time, I thought, that's way further than 3 miles away. And my dad never questioned that it wasn't 3 miles away. He just accepted it because that's what he was told as a kid. But obviously, this topic's all about how far can you see at the horizon, and that's the question that we're asking. But it takes me back to when I was a kid, because I used to look at the horizon and think that's clearly further than 3 miles away, because there's like things dotted around like boats and whatnot. And you can tell by how small the boat is, roughly how far away it is, and maybe you can't, but you get the perception it's not 3 miles; it's a lot further than that. And that's when we have this conversation right now. It takes me back to then. And I always remember thinking back then, that's not 3 miles away. That's much further than 3 miles. It's just interesting how this topic is revolving right now about that exact point. How far can you actually see at the horizon?
So you had a black swan back then?
Maybe.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah, I used to look at the stuff on the horizon and the boats and we had like oil platforms and things like that before turbines and stuff. But I used to look at them and think they're not 3 miles away. They're about 10. But my dad was telling me it was only 3 miles because that's what he was told. It's interesting.
Well, the geometric horizon has never been a real measurement for them anyway.
We don't see it, we don't need it, but my refraction value will be based on it.
Exactly. So their 7/6R and their refraction tables are based on something that's not a real measurement.
So I think technology has caught up with the pseudoscience lie.
As I say, we might take another 8 to 12 months for people in the audience or people who oppose us on the panels that we have. But this is the death of the globe. We weren't kidding. This is the Black Plague. It's the end. This is the death. It's being wiped out before your very eyes, fundies. It's flat. It's not a globe. You're just going to have to get used to it.
When I was growing up, and 10th man might be able to, hang on, where did my mind go? 10th man might actually relate to this. When I was growing up, my grandmother's a good old country woman, and she used to get real chickens, live chickens. And what she used to do, and it was kind of crazy, when she wanted to cook a chicken for dinner, she would grab the head of the chicken and wring its neck, to kill it. Well, there was one time when she was doing this, she wringed the chicken's neck, and the head was in her hand, but the body landed out in the grass and started running around. Chicken started running around the yard. The head was in my grandmother's hand, but the chicken was still in the yard running around as if it was alive. That's kind of what's going on, I think.
They've got a very long brain stem. That's what that is. There's been a few instances where people have chopped the heads off chickens and then they've stayed alive and they've fed them with pipettes and things. Dave the Headless Chicken or something like that. Long brain stems. That's why that happens.
So you need to make a picture of Rumpus as a chicken with Rumpus's head off running around.
Is that what that analogy was for, Paul? I was just about to ask that question. Or was it
We
just...
don't allow for
the Globers are still running around trying to keep the globe alive, but the head, the black swan, and the head of the chicken is in the hand of the flat earthers.
Hey, Neil, we don't allow foul images on the show.
I'm
Hey,
picturing
Zanuck goes a different tack. That what Rumpus does is different than Zanuck. Zanuck, when he gets into a position like Rumpus got and says, people mock what they don't understand. He forgets that
we don't
same
understand
words can be used
pseudoscience.
against him.
I just hear that as a remix of "You Just Don't Understand." It's just the same nonsense, just trying to spin it in a different way.
Well, technically, he is absolutely correct.
He is. I'm glad you said that, Arwin.
People mock what they don't understand. Like he mocks us and what we think about, which he doesn't understand, and that's why he keeps mocking it.
So projection then.
Hold on, that is true, Arwin, but that's not where I thought you were going. So check out a channel called Thrice 8 Hermes, who details authorship, the authorities, and what is understanding. And once you understand those things, you will appreciate that his statement is technically correct. However, it doesn't mean you can't stand in opposition while still understanding, in this instance, concepts and stories. I can understand a story. Doesn't mean I accept it as reality. Those two things are very different. Now, somebody who's conveying a story may be the authority, the author of this story. Maybe it's a Musa character for the sake of argument, and he's changing part of the narrative. Or who's the guy that Chocolate quotes all the time? Japanese guy?
Michio
Kaku. These are the authorities in these stories. You can't challenge them. You've got to just understand how their story works. Then you can challenge it. Tell them how they're wrong and it's not reality. Doesn't mean you don't understand. Some people may not understand. And then you might not be in a position to challenge something that you don't understand. Well, on the other hand, you might just understand that it's conceptual and challenge it at its roots without needing to understand it. Again, very different. But understanding what is an authority, the author of something, and what is understanding is very crucial when it comes to debating. Anyway, that's where I thought you were going, Arwin. That said, it is just projection, you're right.
But they do this all the time. It's how all their accidental truths are spoken. They're trying to be smart by stating something that's just this moment of clarity, not realizing that that moment of clarity is actually making them say exactly the opposite of everything they ever claimed. And they literally say it, they're right, but they realize that they got in their own. They don't realize at that moment they got in their own way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to sink in afterward either, because they always do keep on doubling down and trying to make up excuses why that's all right.
And all we're looking for is a forced, embedded confession. So where they slip up because things are logically sound, so therefore must be stated as such, but contradict their narrative, that would be only exposed through embedded confession. They're not intending to let that through. It's just got to be forced out of them or teased out of them through logic and reason. And then ultimately, even if you do manage to tease it out and you get that little snippet that goes onto a soundbite and repeated at nausea to them, our amusement, even if you do get it, they will still double back immediately afterwards. Like immediately to their original assertion, regardless of their own contradiction. That's where we get double-speak circular reasoning going round and round and round like we did with Rumpus earlier. At the point where they're just not listening to your sound logic being put back to them over and over again, they just talk through you. As Babs would put it, they're shutting down the communication. They're not listening, but they're definitely stopping people from hearing.
Nathan, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It goes so fast when it's live, like when Rumpus came and it's bang, 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 bang. So there's a very important point here for the audience and for me as well, is real refraction versus terrestrial refraction that's based on 7/6R. The R, the radius of the Earth based on the globe sphere model. So right there, those are the fixed set of rules that are in stone, as you said. Can we summarize that and show how, because they have an R value from the 3959 sphere of the Earth and how they have their terrestrial refraction 7/6R, that they're bound to that?
Yeah, we only have one horizon. The horizon in the geometric begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator is an R-based horizon. No getting away from the physicality they're claiming of a sphere Earth, and it gives them a physical geometric horizon based on R. Now, if, as they are currently disclaiming, they don't have it, or even today don't need it, only to then assert that refraction, in their case standard, aka terrestrial refraction, will require R, giving them a geometric horizon they don't have. So we only have one horizon. The globe horizon is geometric, but we do not see it. End of globe model. You require but do not have a geometric horizon, and we only have one horizon. To be perfectly honest, Sleeping Warrior more concisely summarised this than I did earlier. He said it in about one sentence. I can't remember his summary to repeat it.
It was when they need a geometric horizon to be able to calculate for R. They don't have a geometric horizon. Their maths is invalid.
Perfect. Beautifully put.
Hey, with everything going on, especially on this discussion about flat Earth, whenever they start talking about, well, the body of science says, or my scientist says, I think of this scene from the Batman. I've got it posted in Master B, and it's when the Joker says, "Who do you trust?" I thought that was been a good little meme or gif for everything that's going on nowadays.
Jack Nicholson.
Who do you trust? Me? I'm handing out free money. And where is the rumpus? He's at home washing his tights.
Perfect. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this either on the premiering stream on Sunday or on Nathan Oakley channel, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum if you did tune in live. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a day! What a lovely day!